We realized in Europe 4 or 5 years ago that Europe is the most import-dependent part of the world when it comes to metals and minerals.
New discoveries are more likely to be found at greater depth.
When you go down deeper, it's necessary to find methods and technology to create especially geometric and geological models as fast as possible.
The Vinnova and ProMine project actually gives us the opportunity to work on a more regional scale.
This is very interesting and important to us to build up this 3D model for the whole Skellefte districts.
We can really display everything from very small scale to very big scale to get a very good overview.
In the end of the day here, exploration is a business and not a science.
So we started mapping, very detailed mapping of structures throughout the whole district, and especially this contact between volcanic rocks and sedimentary rocks to be able to reconstruct the geological history, the 4D aspect in our modeling. So we're modeling everything from the deposit scale, very detailed models of the deposits itself based on extensive drilling and a lot of measurements and investigations. But also we're modeling on a regional scale and of course everything between. So we are really modeling the whole tectonic framework of the region as well, with the big shear zones and fault zones. So we can really display everything from very small scale to very big scale to get a very good overview. So we use a whole range of modeling softwares for doing that. So we're importing our data into this modeling software and construct 3D models out of that. I'm going to show you how the modeling and the data import, which is important for modeling, starts. So the first step is to import a digital elevation model into the model. So we have the 3D topography of the Skellefte district visualized in 3 dimensions. And on top of this digital elevation model, we are able to drape our geological map from field mapping on top of that. And additionally, we are importing now geological cross-sections into the model to visualize our mapped geology from the field. We can also work in different scales. So this scale covers the whole Skellefte district. But for key areas, we're concentrating on more local scales with more detailed geological maps. For example, the sedimentary Vagfors basin here. The whole procedure is based on field mapping from our side. But we use a whole range of data, so we use much more data than just from field mapping. We use drill cores from Boliden, but we also have a wide range of geophysical data which we import in our models.
In Boliden we have a long history for developing our own methods. We have developed over 20 methods during about 100 years. The most method we use is ground EM. We do it on a field. We have an area, let's say 1 to 2 kilometers big square, where we relay out a loop electric cable where alternating current is running around the cable, and that produces electromagnetic field, and then they measure the changes in the electromagnetic field. After our survey technicians have done the surveying, they send the data to our geodata department. They process it and send it forward to me. And what I'm doing, I will do some more filtering and calculations and present these beautiful colored maps. And in these maps you can see these different colors. They present the geophysical anomalies, the electromagnetic anomalies that we are interested in. Why we are using electromagnetic method is that in our area, Skellefte district, our ores are typically very electrically conductive. They are also magnetic, they are heavy. If we look at this 3D view, we have here the electrically conductive layer modeled. It shows sunk lines, anticlines, in my head at least, that's what I can show. I can show the geometry and the location of the model targets. And with the help of the information that we know already from our existing ore models or targets, we can use the same physical parameters to constrain, integrate geophysical data all together. In this picture we see a ground EM model that was created from a ground EM data. It was modeled, and me and the geologist thought that this is quite something interesting, so we might test drill it. And we did 5 drill holes to this anomaly, and we in Boliden we use our downhole EM equipment to survey the holes to find out whether we have intersections, whether we have passed our targets. If we have something that we haven't reached with the drill hole, we call them off-hole anomalies, and those we can model outside the drill hole in order to create new targets. And for those anomalies we can define the geometry, the strength and the location where they are situated.
Usually the deposits are very complex in terms of geometry. So we need to drill around the deposits. We need to characterize the rocks, the alteration. We may drill anything from let's say 100 meters to over a kilometer, depending on the target depth. And at present we are drilling quite deep, so a drill hole that is 1 kilometer is not unusual today. So there's a tremendous amount of core to go through for us geologists. And it's a tremendous amount of data that we produce that needs to be somehow compiled. Then we can get a 3D image from the surface down to 1 kilometer depth.
Geophysics can help to understand the subsurface, the variation of the rocks which are lying below the surface at different depths. So we use different geophysical techniques to understand how the rocks are distributed under the surface, including resistivity IP, magnetic, gravity, seismic and magnetotelluric. Down to 500 meters almost, we could map the resistivity of the subsurface. The results so far could indicate some anomalies, which are possible to be some ore mineralizations.
Boliden have mainly focused on mine scale 3D models, I would say. And since Vinnova and ProMine projects are focused on the whole district, this is very interesting and important to us to build up this 3D model for the whole Skellefte districts.
Exploration has been conducted for quite some time, both in Sweden, Scandinavia and in the world. That means that a lot of the deposits that are close to surface and rich has already been found. And that means that explorations has to be conducted on a deeper level.
Metal prices have in general increased during the last years, and therefore deposits which may not be feasible 10 years ago may be feasible today, and therefore we need to also look in new areas.
We're doing this for industry. We want the industry to be able to explore at depth and target deeper deposits. We want this data to be used by industry as soon as possible, as soon as we get results.
We see new potential areas for exploration from this project, and our exploitation plans for this is to do more exploration in these areas.
As a mining company that has to make money, we normally work around known mineralizations. We don't spend a lot of time working outside these areas. So the Vinnova and ProMine project actually gives us the opportunity to work on a more regional scale. And this also helps us to understand the geology and the way that mineralization associates to geological structures, for example. And in the end, this will help us also to target new areas.
The method to sit together with geophysicists and geologists and have this constant discussions all the time really helps to improve these models and gives really good constraints on the models.
The most important thing is close collaboration between the people doing the research and the company who's going to use the results. Although we've been doing 3D modelling for a while, we haven't, it's been quite simple and I guess primitive compared to the aims of this project. So I think we've learnt a lot about how to create good large-scale 3D models and what's most important and what's not so important. And we've started to, with the help of this project, we've started to build 3D models of our mining areas. So that's a very positive outcome. We in Boliden have realised the last couple of years that we're not alone, that there's many exploration companies around the world that are experiencing more or less the same as we do here in Sweden, that there's more and more innovation all the time, and that's just a part of modern life, that there's new techniques and new information and new ways of handling data becoming available almost constantly, and it's important to keep up with new developments and use these in our day-to-day work as much as possible to keep a leading edge and be at the forefront of our field of science.
It's a huge, big European project with more than 25 partners from I think it's 8 or 9 different countries. So the big challenge is to coordinate this. But once you have done that, and you'll be able to extract all the knowledge from different partners, then you really see the benefit of close collaboration with different background and different knowledge. And if you look at the results coming out of both ProMine and Vinnova, I think we will see that the amount of data published in scientific publications and so forth will be quite fantastic. There are many parts of Europe where there is a bright future for mining, and a bright future for mining to provide work opportunities, create wealth in the local regions and so forth. We are not there yet because there are challenges and there are image issues with mining in many parts of Europe. I think if we can cope with those image issues, then I think we have a bright future in mining in Europe.